Okay, so like we had mentioned, today's webinar is about child-centered education, and so here I have worked in an alternative school for some time, uh, and this is I've thought about this phrase. It's used often, child-centered education. So can we go into that? What could it mean? And yeah,
Sure. Let's actually first try to come up with different meanings. Like, for instance, mainstream education relies on a national curriculum. Adult notions are at the center. The child is not at the center, right? So then maybe we'd have to flip this whole model around to make it child centered. But what would that mean? That's one way of looking at it. Right?
Yeah, you could also argue that syllabi and certifications are all social inventions, and the problem is someone has come up with this and said it is important for the child. So the child is dragged through this whole process willy-nilly.
yeah. So then, what would it mean to keep the child at the center?
Yeah. Yeah, so this is one meaning. Let's open up some more meanings.
Yeah.
What we feel others may define child-centered as, then we can slowly come to what we think, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've always thought it means an individualized learning experience, right? Because after all, everyone is unique, abilities and skills are unique, and yeah, so it seems very unreasonable to work in a general way with all children. This may mean we need to vary the content and teaching style to suit each child.
Yeah, within the classroom,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I could also think that children in differing contexts would have to have a different content, like what
Right,
counts
yeah.
as valid knowledge will vary depending on the child's context. So child-centered in that way also, right?
Like an Adivasi child would benefit from a very different curriculum or even deliver in a different language
Yeah.
than a child in a regular government school.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so like I was saying, so child-centered education could be children doing whatever they want, whenever they want, right? And so it's centered in that sense around their desires, inclinations, interests at that moment.
Okay, so this is now a new idea you're saying. Child-centered would mean centered around what they feel like doing in the moment. Another could be centered around their interests, not of the moment, but something more lasting. Like, suppose a child shows a spark, a particular talent, right? And the adults would then say, what does it take to fulfill this potential, or to help this child cultivate this, right? So then it could mean centered around their deeper, longer term interests.
Yeah.
That's also there.
Or it could mean making learning enjoyable for the child. So in that way, I like the phrase child-friendly more than child-centered. Child-centered has that feeling of it's all exclusively focused on a child. But child-friendly just means, okay, there is a curriculum to deliver. How can that child enjoy that curriculum?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So it looks like we have some definitions
Yeah.
now. Would be nice to go into them one by one. So can we talk about this letting the children do what they want, when they want, the so-called freedom model in some ways? And many schools have tried this, and I've heard they claim that there are good results. It's a good model. So yeah, I'm a bit skeptical, but can we go into it?
Yeah. If you think about it, I get why it's so attractive, right? At least in our milieu, wherever we go, we get life and experiences personalized for ourselves, no? And even my food is a la carte, or it's buffet. So why wouldn't I want my child's education to be personalized for my child?
So this brings in choice. So child-centered, are we saying the child is able to choose?
Yeah, I mean, so choice would bring in a sense of autonomy, and then if they feel autonomous, they might be more engaged. Right? So I think we're saying that so choice could bring about motivation. It could bring about more engagement with what they're doing. Yeah, and I think maybe they would be in some schools like this. They would be very engaged, motivated with what they're doing.
Because they chose.
Yeah.
I actually feel that the motivation is coming in those cases because of the illusion of a chooser.
Okay, so yeah, can you say more about that?
Yeah, in the sense that if I think of, let's say I offer children a choice when they come to me in a class. What is that choice actually going to be based on, right? We've all experienced it on the occasions when we do offer choice.
Right.
It's more based on some emotional state of willingness or readiness to engage. No, I don't feel that it is based on something core or deep. No? And also there are so many influences on that particular choice. There may be peers, there's then the media and advertising, social norms, all kinds of weather, all kinds of things can influence the choice of the moment.
Right.
So I'm even not sure what I need to respect over there, right? I mean, and I can say as a teacher, okay, I'll remove my influence from this picture and then it'll be child-centered. But no, actually I'm opening the door wide open for just other influences.
Yeah.
So in that sense.
Yeah, I think when we talk about this model, it's important to question it in this way. It's very fundamental.
Yeah.
Right? Because parents are thinking about their children as mini choosers, and and that they believe their lives will be enhanced by their choices. Even this whole idea of autonomy, agency is built on choosing.
No, so just to add one thing, very nice question emerges from what you said. Is there an authentic chooser at all, free of all influences? But we can go into that at some future
You mean
date.
like if there were no influence, then it would be a true
good choice. Yeah, or a true choice.
Yeah.
So to me, child-centered is not very interesting if it's just at the level of choice. The other idea you mentioned seems more promising, like helping the child realize her potential or fulfill something. So in such an education, on a day-to-day basis, from the child's point of view, there may not be much choice for the child. Because we have as adults, we have said that we will help you fulfill your dream. So we will push along those lines. But it is child-centered in the sense that it is about the child, helping the child realize her dreams in the long run. And adults will push and adults will help this child achieve her dream.
I know I said this, but I'm just thinking, if you think of the vast goals of education, right? Like questioning aspects of society that disturb us, no? Like inequality, apathy, prejudice. And one of the goals of education surely is to question this and maybe even transform this. If I look at those goals, then what is this individual fulfillment got to do with that? It feels very narrow, no?
Yeah, but I mean, it seems like you're saying this kind of child-centered education is more like self-centered education, but it need not be so. Can we go a bit more into what Venkat was saying?
Okay, but I just want to say, I think I'm getting a feeling like I'm not alone in the universe, right? So how can I? What does it mean to be in the center? and if you look at children, we care for their well-being. Are we so sure that it is good for their well-being to be put at the center of some endeavor in this way? This is what we're talking about, this individual fulfillment. But we should go ahead with it.
I mean, but are we, when saying that, are we creating some kind of contradiction between a student pursuing her potential and the goal of education being challenging society, social norms, other aspects of human life, right? And so can't they both happen together? And like maybe when people pursue their own potential, they may come up with more creative solutions for what for different problems in society. So
Yeah.
that may also be possible.
Yeah. So
They may not be contradictory aims.
So on the surface, it does seem I can follow my dream and I can help society.
Right.
I can love cars and I can build better cars and so on. But I think we may be fooling ourselves in this. Like it's a question of our attitude, right? If the whole attitude is of education and social processes at large are geared towards self-fulfillment, then what does this whole so-called helping society mean anyway? And also I think, can we question this notion of fulfillment itself? Like, you know, there are a few very creative and hardworking people in society and they make it big and they are held up as like the idols for all our children to follow. I mean, what does it do to an ordinary child's psyche, you know, to have to be told, follow your dreams, look at this person, you can be like him or her, or I wonder what it does to the child's psyche.
Actually, we were talking about this just the other day with some children. Now, I do feel maybe it's the benefit of hindsight. At my age, when I look back, whatever talent or abilities I had, I certainly enjoyed the activities that it allowed me to initially. But very quickly, it sets in this whole need to fulfill at that. Like it's not enough to just have it and enjoy it. I have to do something with it, become somebody with it. Then comparison comes in. Then everyone around you is saying, why aren't you fulfilling it? I mean, actually, it seems a bit dark, but I feel like that it leads to a lifelong sense of incompleteness.
Inadequacy.
Yeah, I haven't done what I could have, right? I know this sounds dark, but I'm saying from hindsight, it really happens. And with the children I was talking to the other day, it's already happening. They're 12 and they're already feeling
I
this.
think we can all recognize.
Yeah.
What we have been saying is then challenging some important notions in today's educational world, right? Whether traditional or contemporary. That kind of the idea is to dream big, pursue your dreams, get all the awards there are to get, be better than the other. You know, and yeah, I guess we are challenging that.
Yeah, I read a nice sentence the other day. We are practicing longing all the time. We are feeling empty. We are practicing longing and becoming fulfilled through that longing. But because we have practiced longing, when we get what we want, we will continue to long some more. So anyway, this whole follow your dreams and all that is only for a small minority of society who has the sort of social status and wealth to pursue their dreams. It's not even relevant for
The
many
vast majority.
many people.
Yeah.
So
And
I don't know how meaningful this whole thing is.
I don't know. I am reminded of something beautiful, that prose poem called Desiderata, which I read very, very long back. And one sentence there, it says, "You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here." That thing just has stayed with me. That